We work in work package 9, which is about voices. What is interesting about the overall work package is they analyze the relationship between being an outsider, but in general being disadvantaged, youth disadvantaged, and how these people do participate or trust the formal institutions or they trust all the people around them. We have a really multi-methods approach. So there are people who are going to do more action research and really working alongside with people, trying to empowering them. Then there are going to be experiments to sort of get away from the bias of using big survey. And in our case, we try to combine quantitative work with qualitative interviewing in 5 different countries. So the whole idea of the work package is to look at this link. So how certain labor market conditions or conditions of unemployment or conditions of outsiderness do impact on the ability of people to be socially active in various ways, socially active in their community, socially active in youth movements or organization, but also being politically active. So I think that what we add up to the overall style project is a reflection which goes specifically to youth disadvantage, but also try to analyze which are the new forms of participation the youth is undertaking or might not undertaking, and for what reason this is happening or is not happening. As a researcher, I mainly focus on quantitative research and basically about the current research question we're analyzing, understanding how your labor market condition does impact on your participation. With survey data tend to be very static. We see the young people do not formally participate as the previous cohort, according to our traditional way of measuring formal participation. But as we were discussing today in the session, there are many new forms of participation through social media, but also movements which are not really accounted for in survey data. And so what is really interesting is, first of all, to mix survey data with qualitative evidence to get a sense of how outsiders really do, but also, as some other people in the work package is doing, really using experimental design to try to simulate new conditions and see how labor market conditions do impact on trust, social capital and social participation more in general. We need to rethink the structure of how we look at employment. And maybe the only way of overtaking the current crisis is to start to think at work in a more open way. So not only about jobs, but really about work, and thinking about transitory periods in which people, they might not be employed in the formal economy, but they still do stuff for their community and they get public or private support in order to do certain activities. So I think it's very hard that we will see a lot of growth in Europe. So on the one hand, it's important to become more efficient and to work on the skill mismatch. These are all important things. But I think this is important in the short term. In the long term, we cannot overtake most of our challenges if we really do not rethink the relationship between jobs and work and how people perceive their life in accordance to that. Because I think the time of full employment and a certain type of economy are probably ended for a very long time. So we really need to be probably brave and look outside. And that's one of the difficulty in overtaking this type of crisis, because going into new grounds, although being theorized and discussed, it's quite complex and very hard. We need to stop looking simply at unemployment and just discuss the figure of unemployment, but should really see how different countries and different social security models deal with education, inactivity, and so build up concepts which are capable of capturing how complex the reality is. Because if you look at the unemployment data, the situation is bad, but then if you look at inactivity rates or how people are starting to not go to university anymore, for example in the United Kingdom, this makes the picture much worse, but it's also make us more able to understand what we can do in order to try to tackle some of these problems.